Hey, what's going on, guys? Yep, I'm back at the old spot, and the reason why I'm back on my bed instead of the layout I had for the past few videos is because of this. My room is again expanded, and because I got a new dresser, and yeah, you gotta get the point. Cross country poster right there. Here's a video that I've been wanting to do for some time now, and a lot of you guys are really anxious to know what my favorite movies are, or what my favorite movie is. And yes, here it is, my top 20 favorite movies, and why couldn't I do my top 10? It's a long story, because I have a lot of favorite movies, so yeah, here's my top 20. Okay, coming in at number 20 is Amadeus. The story of Amadeus is about Mozart, about how he died, and about, it's kind of a complicated story when you think about it, but it's a pretty awesome movie. And if you guys haven't seen Amadeus, I highly recommend it. It has a good soundtrack. It has good acting, and it has really good cinematography. And it also won Best Picture. So I recommend Amadeus, even though it's kind of confusing though. Coming in at number 19, we have An American Werewolf in London. Just to let you guys know, this is my favorite horror movie of all time. And by the way, I actually reviewed this movie around Halloween time, and you can check that out actually. And I'm sorry for doing this, but I'm not gonna explain what the story is, because if you've seen my review for it, then you know what the story is. And the reason why An American Werewolf in London is one of my all-time favorite movies and is my favorite horror movie is because it's funny in a morbid way. It's scary. It scared me for a year. And what else? Oh yeah, it has a really cool story actually. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, but if you're a huge fan of horror movies and love werewolf movies, then check this movie out. I highly recommend it. Coming in at number 18, we have Rocky. Best sports movie of all time, hands down. Rocky is a story of a boxer named Rocky Balboa, who's played by Sylvester Stallone. He gets into a championship boxing tournament with Apollo Creed, and he has to get trained by his really jerky coach, but he's really likable though. And Rocky is one of my favorite movies because it's inspiring, and there are parts that are full of heart, and it's a good movie for any athlete who started out lazy but came all the way up to the top as being really successful. Speaking of Rocky, there's a spin-off movie, if you guys didn't know, there's a spin-off movie that came out back in November around Thanksgiving time called Creed. That was about Apollo Creed's son, and if you guys haven't seen that movie, watch it. I also review that. Go check it out. Go check out both my review and the movie. Go watch Creed and Rocky. They're awesome movies. Coming in at number 17, we have Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first movie to star Indiana Jones. Of all the action movies to come out, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite of all time. Indiana Jones is hands down the greatest character in any action movie ever in Hollywood history. Harrison Ford will forever always be Indiana Jones. Coming in at number 16, we have Casablanca. Casablanca is a love story about two characters who were played by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. They meet at a restaurant in, of course, Casablanca, and their love story began. Casablanca was made during World War II, and that was a time when Hollywood was successful. As many people would call it, the golden age of Hollywood. Valentine's Day weekend, if you or your date haven't seen Casablanca, pop it in. it's a great movie. All right, it's number 15 time, and number 15 is Ghostbusters. I also reviewed Ghostbusters around Halloween time, so you guys can check that out also. I was 9 years old when I first saw Ghostbusters, and when I first saw Ghostbusters, I was instantly obsessed with it. Ghostbusters may not be my favorite comedy of all time, but let's just say it's my favorite American comedy. But my favorite comedy will be number 5, and that is a British movie. And if you guys did not know, in 1989, they made a sequel to Ghostbusters called Ghostbusters 2. And what do I think of Ghostbusters 2? Alright, it's time to reveal what number 14 is. And this might be kind of a sheet, but whatever. Number 14 is The Lord of the Rings Trilogy. Yep, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, The Lord of the Rings Trilogy is one of my favorite movies of all time. If anyone asks me, what do I prefer, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? Lord of the Rings. Alright, number 13 is Back to the Future. Great Scott! If you have seen Back to the Future, then you know that quote. Back to the Future is one of those movies that is nostalgic, heartful, and funny, and it's the quintessential family movie. They don't make it like they used to anymore. Alright, coming in at number 12, we have Goodfellas. Goodfellas is about a biographical gangster movie that's based on a true story, and it's about Henry Hill, who's played by Ray Liotta. It's about how he came into the gangster world, and it's also about how his life crashed and burned. But my favorite character in the whole movie is, of course, none other than Joe Pesci's character. Speaking of gangster movies, the next movie on this list is another gangster movie. Because number 11 is The Godfather 1 and 2. It may be a sheet, but screw it. The Godfather 1 and 2 are both my favorite gangster movies of all time. And no other gangster movie will ever be as great as Godfather 1 and 2. Well, there's Goodfellas, though. Alright, moving on to number 10. And number 10 is The Muppet Movie. The Muppet Movie is my favorite out of the Muppet movies. The Muppet Movie was the first Muppet movie to have the Muppets in it, and it's about how they all got to Hollywood, how they all met, and it's a sweet and funny movie. You can tell by the jokes it was made in the late 70s. Moving on to number 9, Rear Window. Rear Window is my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie. If you guys don't know who Alfred Hitchcock is, wow. He directed Psycho, The Birds, North by Northwest, Vertigo, Rear Window, of course, and a few other classics. Most of the movies he directed are mystery thrillers movies, and they're really good movies. And if you guys haven't seen any of his movies, I recommend them. Coming in at number 8 is a musical. Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain is a musical starring Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, and Donald O'Connor. It was made back when Hollywood was actually good. Singing in the Rain is my favorite musical of all time. It's one of my favorite movies because it always brings a smile to my face every time I watch it. Coming in at number 7 is Forrest Gump. My mama always said life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. That was my terrible impersonation of Forrest Gump. Thank you for your attention. Forrest Gump is one of my all-time favorite movies because it's inspiring because Forrest Gump had autism, I think. Did he have autism? I don't know. Seemed like he did. And no matter what, he did things that were impossible to do, but he didn't let his disability get in the way. To anyone who thinks Forrest Gump is overrated and is offensive to people with handicap disabilities, stupid is as stupid does. Next for number 6 is Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. So what? I don't care if that's a sheet or not. I honestly don't give a crap. Ask me which movie I prefer, Star Wars or The Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back. And I did review all the Star Wars movies around the time Force Awakens was coming out, so you can check that out. No matter what, Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back will always hold a special place in my heart as one of my all-time favorite movies. This video is almost over. Okay, so coming in at number 5 is my favorite comedy, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's only a flesh wound. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. Bring out your dad. I can go on and on and on all day of how much I can quote this movie. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is not only my favorite comedy, but is the funniest movie I have ever seen, period. Alright, it's number 4 time, and number 4 is The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is my favorite comic book movie of all time, and is also my favorite Batman movie of all time. Heath Ledger as the Joker is hands down the greatest performance ever in a comic book movie, and it is so sad what happened to him. It breaks my heart every time I think about it. Done talking about The Dark Knight, so now it's time to talk about number 3, Shrek. It's like what all those weirdos say on the internet. Shrek is love. Shrek is life. God, that video scarred me for life. I remember when I watched Shrek for the first time, and I loved it. I was like 6 when I first watched it, even though I should have been like 9, because it's more meant for tweens than little kids. Shrek is probably the best fairy tale. You know why? Because it has a heartwarming message, which is, you don't have to be perfect to have a happily ever after. Alright, coming in at number 2 is another animated movie, and that is Toy Story. And back in November, I reviewed Toy Story in honor of its 20th anniversary, and you can go check that out. Toy Story, I think, was one of the first movies I ever saw, and I love it. If you guys haven't seen Toy Story, what? Bruh. Toy Story is my favorite animated and is my favorite Pixar movie of all time. And I am glad Pixar exists. And I'm super excited for Finding Dory. Before I get to my number 1 favorite movie of all time, I'm gonna give an honorable mention to a movie that I'm bummed out I couldn't add. Then that movie is Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is my favorite Steven Spielberg movie, and I'm kind of bummed out it wasn't on here, but oh well. Guys, this is it. You're about to see something extremely top secret. You're about to see my number 1 favorite movie of all time. And for the moment we all been waiting for, drum roll. My number 1 favorite movie is The Wizard of Oz. Fight me in the comment section. Just do all those hate comments that people do on Jimmy Kimmel Live to the celebrities. Just do whatever you can. Just do it. I don't care. Because if you think my favorite movie of all time is The Wizard of Oz is bullcrap, then unsubscribe. I don't care. Wizard of Oz have left kind of a huge impact. I mean, not only did I star in a school play of it last year, but when I first saw it, I was too young to appreciate it because it freaked me out a little bit, and I was young to appreciate it. I was like 5, 6, or 4 when I first saw it, and it freaked the living hell out of me. And all I can say is I saw it years later. I think I saw the whole movie when I was in 4th grade, I think. And all I can say is it's just as great as everyone says it is. This movie has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. A 99%. That one critic who gave The Wizard of Oz a bad review, I want to go up to him, slap him in the face, and just go Mortal Kombat on him. A 99% on Rotten Tomatoes is awesome, but just look at what Otis Ferguson had to say about The Wizard of Oz. He can just... Right, that wraps up my top 20 favorite movies, and I have a question for you. What are your top 20 favorite movies of all time? Whatever they are, comment below and let me know. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to subscribe.